The twin moons hung low over the battlefield, casting a silvery glow on the jagged rocks and broken swords scattered across the valley. Silence ruled the night, except for the occasional whisper of the wind. From a distance, a lone figure appeared, cloaked in black, moving with a quiet confidence. That was Kale, the wandering warrior whose name had become legend in every kingdom across the lands. Ahead of him, atop a cliff, stood a woman. Her armor gleamed in the moonlight, silver and gold reflecting the stars. She was fierce, confident, and known to many as Lady Seraphine. Her eyes sparkled with mischief and challenge as she looked down at Kale. "I hope your sword isn't the only thing bigger than that," she said with a teasing grin, pointing to the enormous gate of her fortress behind her. Kale paused for a moment, studying her carefully. Her words were meant to provoke, and they did. But Kale didn't flinch. Instead, he smiled, a small, confident smile that made Seraphine's heart skip a beat. He tightened his grip on his sword, feeling the weight of it in his hand, heavier than any weapon he had carried before. "Watch and see," Kale said simply. And with that, he began to climb. The climb was treacherous. Sharp rocks cut his hands, loose stones slid beneath his boots, and the wind tried to push him back. But Kale moved as if he had been born for this. Every step was precise, every movement calculated. Seraphine watched, her amusement turning into curiosity. Most warriors would have faltered by now, but Kale pressed on, unfazed. By the time he reached the top, sweat ran down his forehead, and his chest heaved with exertion. Seraphine stepped forward, her expression serious now. "You think you can just walk into my fortress and challenge me?" she asked, her voice steady but tinged with a challenge. "I don't think," Kale said. "I know." Her eyes narrowed. She drew her own sword, a magnificent blade that shimmered like sunlight on water. The moment the steel left the scabbard, a hush fell over the valley. Even the wind seemed to pause. Seraphine circled Kale, testing his reactions. "I hope you're ready," she said, smirking. "I don't lose easily." Kale didn't respond. He simply adjusted his stance, feeling the pulse of his own strength. The night air crackled with tension as the two warriors faced each other. And then, in a flash, the battle began. Seraphine struck first, a swift series of blows designed to test Kale's reflexes. But Kale was faster. He parried, dodged, and countered with a precision that made Seraphine pause. For every strike she made, he had a response, stronger and sharper than the last. "You're good," she admitted, circling him like a predator studying its prey. "But good isn't enough." Kale's eyes never left hers. "You'll see," he said, his voice calm, but his body ready to move at a moment's notice. They clashed again, steel ringing against steel. Sparks flew with every contact, lighting the night like tiny shooting stars. Seraphine's attacks were fierce and calculated, but Kale was unpredictable. He used the terrain, the wind, and even the moonlight to his advantage. Every move was fluid, almost like a dance, but with deadly intent. Minutes felt like hours as the duel continued. Both were skilled, both were relentless. But slowly, Kale began to find openings. Tiny gaps in her defense appeared, moments where her confidence made her vulnerable. And then, he saw it, the moment to strike. With a swift, almost invisible movement, Kale disarmed her. Her sword flew from her hands and landed several feet away. Seraphine froze, eyes wide in shock. She had expected a fight, yes, but not this. Not him. Kale didn't move to attack further. Instead, he stepped closer, his eyes steady on hers. "I told you," he said simply, "you'll see." Seraphine's chest heaved, not from exertion but from the realization that she had underestimated him. Her pride, so carefully guarded, was rattled. Yet even in defeat, she smiled, a slow, genuine smile. You surprised me," she admitted. Kale extended a hand. "I don't fight to prove strength," he said. "I fight to survive, to protect, and to honor." Her hand hesitated, then accepted his. For a moment, the battlefield was silent again, the tension replaced with mutual respect. And then, without warning, the fortress behind her began to shake. Massive cracks appeared in the walls, dust and stones falling into the valley below. "What's happening?" Seraphine exclaimed, her voice sharp with urgency. Kale's eyes narrowed. "Trouble," he said. "And it looks like we need to fight, together." The ground trembled beneath them as creatures emerged from the shadows, monsters of stone and fire, summoned by an enemy unknown. Seraphine drew her sword again, but this time, she didn't face Kale as an opponent. Instead, she stood beside him, ready to fight as allies. Kale and Seraphine moved as one, their swords slicing through the night, striking down every creature that dared approach. Their synergy was unmatched. Every move of Kale's was complemented by Seraphine's instincts, every strike of hers backed by his strength. They were no longer just two warriors, they were a force. Hours seemed to pass, yet they fought without pause, driven by adrenaline and sheer will. The creatures fell one by one, but more kept coming, endless waves of monstrous shapes that tested every ounce of their skill. And yet, Kale never wavered. His sword was his ally, his mind his weapon, and his heart his guide. Finally, as the first rays of dawn touched the valley, the last creature fell. Dust hung in the air, and silence returned. Kale and Seraphine stood among the ruins, breathing heavily but victorious. Seraphine lowered her sword, her gaze meeting Kale's. "I underestimated you," she admitted, a hint of admiration in her voice. Kale shook his head. "You didn't. You just didn't expect me to rise to the challenge." A quiet smile passed between them, one of mutual respect, of unspoken understanding. The night had tested them, challenged them, and revealed truths about strength, courage, and trust. And as they looked over the battlefield, they knew this was only the beginning of something far greater. For Kale, the wandering warrior, it was another victory. But more importantly, it was proof that true strength was not just in the sword or the size of the warrior, it was in the courage to face any challenge, in the heart to fight, and in the mind to see beyond appearances. And as for Seraphine, she had learned that sometimes, the person who seems like a stranger could be the strongest ally you'd ever have, someone who could not only match your skills but surpass them, and show you that the greatest battles are won not alone, but together. The twin moons faded as the sun rose, casting golden light over the valley. Two warriors, now allies, walked side by side toward the horizon, ready to face whatever the world would throw at them next.